Medals have always played a pivotal role in my enjoyment of Halo. They are a source of excitement and motivation for me. The dopamine that runs through my veins when I see those rewarding emblems on my screen, followed by an epic Jeff Schweitzer announcement and a sick metal sound effect in Halo Infinite, produces an adrenaline rush quite unique from any other game I've played, especially when it comes to mythic medals or medals of high skill or rarity. They make certain actions, interactions, and kills feel so special, serving as both a confidence booster and a fun factor. I'm kind of surprised that no one else has made a detailed commentary about them, discussing their importance to the franchise, their history, their implementation, and a personal take on how the system was executed throughout the Halo games. But I'm elated that I'm the guy who gets to do it first. I remember back when I was determined to get a running riot on local Halo 3 games, with my family back in 2007 through 2009, and I eventually got a Rampage. I remember long sessions of Halo 3 MCC and Halo 5 chasing rare medals, specifically high sprees and multi-kills, such as the Killionaire, Perfection, and Jeff Schweitzer's favorite, the Unfrigginbelievable. I remember being intrigued when I got armor lock rejections, fast balls, cluster lucks, and snipultaneous. I remember how interested I was in the special killing spree medals in Halo 3 and Reach, sniper, sword, sticky, etc. More recently, the slew of style and skill medals in Halo Infinite, such as the Return to Sender, Mind the Gap, and Boom Block, have captivated me. I'm sure there are millions out there who have a soft spot for medals in Halo, even if not for the same games I do, and that is the importance of them. Of course, there are a few who really don't care much for medals.
In Halo, they give medals. Wow, medals, that's cool. I remember getting stickers back in elementary school.
They hype us, they motivate us, they inspire us. And I want to see the best medal system possible implemented in the future, which is why I'm putting my 2 cents in. So, without further ado, this is Unfrigginbelievable Medals in Halo. So for those who are new to Halo, medals are those cool little stickers that pop up on the screen whenever a player achieves a special feat, such as killing someone in a flashy fashion, dominating the battlefield with a killing spree or multi-kill, or following the objective of the game. They were first introduced in Halo 2 and have been a staple of the series since. While they first appeared in physical form in H2, I must note the groundwork laid in Halo Combat Evolved through multiplayer narration by Jeff Schweitzer, whose stellar performance in each game will be discussed later. The Halo 1 voice lines for killing sprees, multi-kills, and objectives were eventually used for medals in future entries. Now I do feel it's important to note that I've only played Halo 1 on PC and MCC, and haven't spent as much time playing as I did Halo 3 and onward. But I'll say that the rarity of the announcements that would later be used for medals did make certain achievements in the game feel special, specifically regarding multi-kills and killing sprees, as these only accounted for 5 future medals. There's not too much I can say about Halo 1 regarding medals, but its small roster of achievement announcements was a good starting point for medals in the future. As stated earlier, Halo 2 saw the first official implementation of medals in their physical form. These medals would pop up in small size at the top of your Spartan's HUD after earning them, then disappear after a few seconds, a system still implemented to this day. Their art style features simplistic polygons and circles for the backdrops, and fun creative designs or icons on the inside, often representing the feat achieved to earn the medal. This art style, in my opinion, is the all-time great for the series, and will be used in the next, we'll say 2.5 games if you catch my drift. There are a variety of colors, including a coding for each individual level of killing spree and multi-kill. The carjacking medal's yellow traffic sign design set a precedent for vehicular medals in future games up to Halo 5, which I personally think is still the coolest thing ever. The game added 3 levels each of multi-kills and killing sprees. Halo 2 also added a category for medals called Special Kills, which would be a combination of what would later become skill and style medals. These would include Sniper Kill, Road Kill, Stick It, Bone Cracker, and Assassin. Carjacking wasn't technically a kill, but was still part of this suite. The special kill medals were not accompanied by an announcement from Jeff Schweitzer, which I think was an intelligent design choice to not overdo the narration. These medals were relatively easy to achieve for a player skilled enough with their corresponding tools, but the kills still felt satisfying enough to warrant medals. 2 objective medals, Bomb Carrier Kill and Bomb Planted, were added with the new Assault mode. Now, as stated earlier about CE, I never played the original Xbox version of Halo 2, or its Xbox Live multiplayer. I missed out on a once-in-a-lifetime era. I know, not a true Halo fan. I guess that means I am exposed. But I've been playing enough MCC and studied online enough to know and feel where the adrenaline rush from achieving medals originated from. Halo 1 established a precursor to the medal system, and Halo 2 executed on its creation and established the system that would be used throughout the rest of the games. Seeing these medals pop up on screen definitely enhanced the gameplay loop for me and helped keep me interested, if not the rest of Halo Nation, which is why I consider medals to be one of Halo 2's best innovations. And now we arrive at what is widely regarded as the greatest Halo game of all time, and you will get no argument from me. And indeed, one of Halo 3's biggest appeals, at least for me, were the medals. It's the game I entered the franchise with, and it's also the game that got me interested in the first-person shooter genre. Medals hooked me and were a huge reason why I got interested in getting good at the game. I wanted my bragging rights. I was also interested in the many ways I could kill my opponents. As stated earlier, at one point it was my ultimate goal to get a running riot against my family members, and I eventually got a rampage in Halo 3. I didn't even know about the existence of killing spree medals past that tier until a few years later, due to lack of access to the internet. So I had to feed my curiosity the hard way, on the battlefield. Luckily, I did get to play Halo 3 online on a few occasions, my first experience with online gaming. The medals used the same H2 art style, with slight alterations and a slew of additions. There were also a few name changes for medals, which would be an occurrence throughout the series. Halo 3 also retained the Halo 2 medal system, divided under the spree, multi-kill, special kill, and objective sections. 2 new vehicular medals, Wheelman and Skyjacker, were added, making the vehicular section of medals a bit more prominent beside its special kill brethren. The Wheelman medal would be the first ever assist medal in Halo, starting off a series that would expand in later games. Halo 3 also showed its support for its resident party poopers by introducing the Killjoy medal, which is earned by ending an opponent's killing spree. I'd like to quickly point out how cool the Incineration medal was. Just watching your opponent's flesh burn from their carcass while a flaming skull pops up on the bottom left of the screen. The new place for medals that would last up to Halo 5. Peaceful times indeed. One of Halo 3's best refinements to the system was adding special kinds of killing sprees based off of certain weapons and objectives. The shotgun, sniper, energy sword, splatter, juggernaut, zombie, and human all got 2 tiers of killing spree, while Hail to the King was a medal for killing 5 Spartans in a row within 1 hill. Halo 3 added 1 level of normal killing spree in the Invincible medal, which now required 30 kills without dying. 3 levels of multi-kills were added, including one of the most revered and prestigious medals in the history of Halo, the Killionaire. Everyone and their mother wanted a Killionaire, and if you don't believe me, take it from Brightside.
I wanna get a Killionaire so freaking bad, the one medal that I have never had. I wanna be on the homepage of Bungie.net, inbox full of random friend requests. But every time I'm close, I die. I rage inside of Xbox Live. I hold my head and I just cry, cry, cry. One day I'll be good at this game and I'll get a Killionaire. Oh, I'll get a Killionaire.
In fact, Halo 3 introduced not just 1, but 3 of the most challenging and prestigious medals of all time. Along with the Killionaire, a Slayer-exclusive killing spree medal known as Perfection was introduced, where one would have to survive the whole game with no deaths and at least 15 kills. The Extermination medal required a team to put all of the enemy team on a respawn timer at the same time, and someone would have to attain at least an overkill in doing so to be awarded the medal. The challenge behind these mythic medals resulted in enthusiasm and bloodthirst throughout the Halo community, leading to some of the sickest clips and montages throughout the internet, which again is still a tradition today. Halo 3 also introduced medals into 2 new forums. 4 campaign-exclusive medals were added: Headshot, EMP, Super Detonation, and an interesting medal called Multi-Kill, where you'd have to kill at least 3 enemies within an extremely short period of time, 1.5 seconds to be exact. The second forum would be Bungie.net, where there would be 2 exclusive medals, Linktacular and Staketacular. The latter medal would etch a pretty good place in Halo pop culture, and it would return in Halo Reach, MCC, and Infinite. The origin of this medal, Bungie lead artist Luke Smith defeating Frank O'Connor in a Hump Day challenge, a weekly tradition shared with large Halo community sites, is more evidence that medals were, and still, an important part of the Halo community. Also, certain medals were required to be attained in order to earn specific Xbox achievements, including the Lee R. Wilson Memorial and Used Car Salesman. There's not much to say about ODST's medal system except it ported over most of the special kill medals, all of the multiplayer multi-kill medals, the normal spree medals, and most of the special spree medals. All the Halo 3 campaign medals except for multi-kill are available. ODST was also the first appearance of the generic assist medal, the second ever assist medal after Willman. One new firefight medal was introduced, Hero, where with no lives left and all of your teammates dead, you survive the current wave, reviving your teammates. Halo 3's biggest strength, and a huge reason as to why it was the #1 selling Xbox 360 title at the time, was its community. The game introduced so many tools to the franchise to connect players of an energized fan base together, such as achievements, earnable cosmetics, and Forge. The medal system was a big tool in that suite. Through its plethora of meaningful additions, exclusive website implementation, achievements that required medals, and the challenge and aura felt around the mythic medals, Halo 3 had the best medal system to date, before it was toppled 3 years later. Halo Reach's medal system, in my opinion, is the greatest in the franchise, and it is for a simple reason. It's Halo 3's system, but more. And I mean a lot more. Halo 3 had 57 medals, Halo Reach had 112. You'd think that would come with a bunch of filler medals just to pad out the roster, and it did come with a few, but I can only think of 5. Reload this, the generic assist, which in retrospect I think was a pretty bad idea for a medal due to the lack of feeling of accomplishment. Revenge, but to a lesser extent due to it being pretty cool to get payback on the bastard that just killed you. Avenge Me, and Bros to the End. The latter 2 are particularly egregious because they don't require you to do work, but instead depend on your partner picking up your slack. Avenge Me is especially disgraceful because it also requires you to die. So essentially, you're getting awarded for dying and having your partner finish the job. Wow. With the small silver lining that these 2 medals weren't in the actual game, these 2 have to be the worst 2 medals in Halo history, with Avenge Me being #1. Medals like these completely defeat the purpose of the medal system in the first place. Who's going to feel accomplished after having their teammate save them, let alone kill the person they died to? Luckily, the rest of the roster wasn't like this, so the game only introduced a small taste of what will become a prominent problem in the future Halos. That's about all the bad I can say about Reach's medal system, because it brought over every single medal from Halo 3 and ODST, except for Incineration, because, Bungie didn't care about the pyromaniacs in their fanbase, and added an entire army of medals, following the same system as Halo 2 and 3. The art style is spent on H2 and 3s with slight shape alterations and a rusted metal aesthetic that gave them a gritty, realistic, battle-hardened feeling. This art style worked wonders for the Killing Spree medals, some of the best looking in the series in this game, I tell you. 2 tiers of Killing Spree were added, Inconceivable and the iconic mythic medal, Unfrigginbelievable. The same objective medals returned, except for VIP killed because the game type wasn't in reach. The medal is replaced by Oddball Carrier killed, with the addition of one, a mythic medal called Skullmanjaro, where you're required to score 10 skulls at once in Headhunter. Laser, Assist, Wheelman, and Spawn Spree are all added to the Spree family, and every special spree except for Hail to the King is given a 3rd tier. A hefty bunch of style medals were added, including ones based around armor abilities like Rejection, Firebird, Pull, and Headcase. The assassination animations were probably the coolest thing Reach introduced, and they had 3 medals to accompany them. The new assassination medal required a switcheroo of names. The old one was switched to Beatdown, and the original Beatdown was renamed Pummel. Showstopper required you to kill someone who was assassinating someone else, while Yoink required you to steal the kill from an assassin mid-animation. So basically, along with the Killjoy medal, the game encouraged you to be a dick. Kinda like the Sorry board game. Medals like these were fun as a troll. Reach also added 13 Bungie.net medals, including Ennobled, Thank the Maker, Funkadelic, and Triple Double. The latter returned in the base games of Halo, MCC, and 5. Halo Reach's medal system for the most part looked at Halo 3's system, saw it wasn't broke, and didn't attempt to fix it. It just added more cool ways to explore the game and kill some enemy Spartans. If any future Halo can make their medal system closer to Reach's with all the fun, unique, challenging, inspiring medals, minus the few filler ones, I would get goosebumps from extreme excitement. Unfortunately, Call of Duty 2557 could not live up to the hefty standards set by Reach's medal system. As 343 Industries took over Halo, they wanted to put their own stamp on the franchise. This led to attempts to alter multiple classic formulas that were synonymous with Halo, even if they weren't significantly flawed throughout the entire game, including the medal system. The art style for the medals was completely overhauled, adopting a less realistic, more emblem-like appearance, with simpler and reused shapes for backdrops, and a mostly blue color scheme. Red is also common throughout the roster as part of the inner icons. The reduction of variety in colors reduced the visual appeal of the medals, and was kind of monotonous to look at. But even though they weren't what the fan base were used to, the designs were still pretty cool. Actually, the Killing Spree medals are arguably the best looking in the series, between this art style and Reach's. Those medals kept roughly the same color scheme from Reach, but the middle rings were slightly enlarged and given more detail, minus the rusted metallic glaze. Except for the Unfrigginbelievable, which was completely overhauled. While it retained the hexagon, it was given a layered red and black outline, and the target was replaced by a badass stall. Now that is an absolute chef's kiss. An alternate version of this design was used for the Extermination medal, with a red backdrop and a pointed 16 gun. So yeah, those medals look boss. The multi-kill medals, however, were simplified. Their stars and backdrops are no longer matched with that of the Killing Sprees, but are given their own unique but simplified color scheme. They all have white stars, and solid outlines were added that are slightly lighter versions of the backdrop colors. Other than that, most of the other medals that aren't matched with the Killing Spree color scheme are blue. And the ones that aren't, guess what color they are? Gray. Freaking gray. With hints of red spread throughout the roster. In past games, only the Killing Sprees, multi-kills, and objective medals of the same game type shared the same color scheme. There were a lot more of the first two than objective or weapon and style medals in Reach. But even then, they offered much more color variety than seen in 4. I'll briefly note that the Halo 4 art style was used for medals in Halo, the Master Chief Collection, for all Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo 4 medals, universally applied medals, every post-game Carnage medal except for Reach exclusive medals, and as a visual option for both Halo 1 and Halo 2 Classic Multiplayer, which included some Halo 4 medals and all new medals never before seen, like I See You for CE, where you kill a player who is using active camo. Where the medal system in Halo 4 really fails is the ease in achieving them, or the lack of difficulty in the requirements. In Halo 4, you get medals for damn near everything. There is a plethora of softball medals that provide no sense of accomplishment, rarity, or awesomeness. And I'm going to start by eviscerating the worst medals to ever be included in a base Halo game. A medal that makes the comeback and ball holder medals look like perfection and extermination. Of course, I am talking about the medal for the generic kill. Why on God's earth would anyone think this medal was a great idea? I get that 343 was trying to reach a broader audience with Halo 4, so they implemented features, some from other mainstream franchises mentioned earlier, to try to make newcomers feel welcome. But this was a complete step in the wrong direction. You're almost insulting the player's intelligence by trying to make the most basic achievement in the game feel special. Killing people is the point of the game. Even if you're playing an objective game type, if a team captures an enemy flag without killing anyone, chances are they're making a machinima. Medals were designed to provide a sense of accomplishment, to make moments in the game feel special, to get people to say, "Holy shit, what the hell was that?" Even the easier medals in past games, like Laser Kill and Beatdown, still felt a bit special, especially in certain situations. But in Halo 4, the roster is plagued by so much filler, and the generic kill was so worse than the rest that it warranted an isolated bashing. As said earlier, the Bros to the End, and especially the Avenge Me medals, were worse, with the latter being the worst of all time, because it literally rewards you for getting your ass kicked. But one, at least they weren't in the main game, only being available on Bungie.net, and two, they weren't accompanied by a cornucopia of filler medals like generic kill was in Halo 4. Halo 4 took a step back with its style and skill medals. A positive is that Hail Mary, Snapshot, Retribution, Vengeance, and Busted were all cool additions, and these style medals would be expanded on in a great way in Halo 5 and Infinite. I wish Yoink was kept though, it was a great troll. Before, the only weapons that had a special kill medal associated with them were the plasma pistol, needler, laser, plasma grenade, sniper weapons via headshot, and all vehicles via splatter. In Halo 4, the EMP medal was changed to an assist medal, while a kill medal was granted to almost every tier 2 and 3 weapon, plus vehicle turrets. So there was a medal for the binary rifle, beam rifle, rocket launcher, fuel rod gun, rail gun, energy sword, gravity hammer, and frag grenade kills. This cheapened the sense of accomplishment behind killing enemies in special ways because, well, now almost every way was a special way, or at least that's how 343 wanted the player to feel. Here's my personal breakdown. The energy sword and gravity hammer kills were okay, because there aren't many melee weapons like them in any other first-person shooters. There will always be a special feeling from one slicing someone or bashing their brains in, but the rest of the medals that got added in this category should have been axed before the final release. All the sniper kills should have been condensed into one medal, and still should have required headshots to achieve them, which they no longer do. The railgun is just a slightly weaker, less unique version of the Spartan laser. It was fun to use, but it wasn't enough to warrant a medal. That'd be like giving the brute shot or concussion rifle a kill medal. They were decent tier 2 weapons, nothing too special. And why is the basic grenade, the fragmentation grenade, being given a medal? I mean, Cluster Luck from Halo 5 and Infinite was cool, with at least a 2-for-1 being required, but a generic frag kill? I'm not feeling it. And under no circumstances should a medal be rewarded simply for killing someone with a heavy explosive launcher. You are essentially completing the easiest task in the game, next to splazering a vehicle. And at least that was unique and awesome, something not notably associated with other FPS games. But now that I think of it, the laser medal would have been better if only earned by killing infantry. Why would blowing someone up with a rocket or fuel rod feel like an accomplishment worthy of a medal? I can understand Rocket Mary / Fire and Forget from Halo 5 and Infinite, where far distance between the player and their enemy is required, but a generic rocket kill resulting in a medal is unacceptable. And if that's not bad enough, all the weapon-based spree medals are gone, just to be replaced by these filler medals. I was hoping a Needler spree line of medals would be added, but instead we went the complete opposite route. Halo 4 significantly bolstered the roster for objective medals, and lots of them are filler. Like the most lowball, pitiful, everyone's a winner type filler. There were spree medals just for holding a hill and cough for just 15, 10, and even 5 seconds. Oh, use the vehicle to do it? You get an entirely different set of medals for the same insignificant achievements. Dominion had base capture initiated. Initiated! What? Now I'll admit, this was similar to Bomb Planted in Halo 2, 3, and Reach, where you get rewarded for initiating the process even if it doesn't complete. And in retrospect, this wasn't a good idea either. Why is the player getting a medal for simply starting to take over a base? This is like getting a passing grade for turning in homework that's at most half complete, or getting encouraged by your boss at a restaurant for wiping one counter down when you were supposed to clean the whole kitchen. Or, better yet, it's like going on a honeymoon with your spouse, slipping under the bed sheets, and going straight to sleep. Oh, honey, I really appreciate the fact that you initiated last night, so I got up and cooked you this big-ass breakfast as a reward. Definitely not going to talk shit about you to my friends on Xbox Party Chat while playing Halo or anything, which just so happen to be your friends too. Definitely not banging one of them. But at least it doesn't get any worse. Yeah, have fun sharing that breakfast with the guy that's definitely not banging your wife.
You a bitch, your girl need a real dick.
There are so many more examples of weak medals. Ball Holder rewards you for holding the oddball for a mere 10 seconds. At least it's not as bad as Cough, since it's 10 seconds instead of 5, but that's like the thinnest of silver linings. They gave medals for 20, 30, and 45 seconds, but they should have just kept match cans. The required kills for the Flood Killing Spree medals got nerfed into weird intervals instead of each tier being 5 kills apart. I'm okay with the way they revamped the conversion spree medals, because it's extremely rare and nigh unviable to get a full lobby of 16 to get a thriller medal, as each human only has 1 life. Flood Kill was redundant, and Flood Kill Assist was even worse. Which brings up another issue. Halo 4 extremely ramped up the assist medals.
In Halo Reach, there are 8 assist medals, and if you want to get even more technical, there are 13.
In Halo 4, there are 17.
19 if you want to count Flag Driver and Distraction.
I get it. Being a team player is very important. You are a valuable asset to the team when you are helping your partner score points, secure kills, or execute objective-related actions. But going too far in that mentality is what caused the scoreboard to disappear in Battlefield 2042. And we all know how that went.
You don't want to feel bad if you suck, do ya?
A competent Halo player should be able to execute at least some actions by themselves. Things like kill assists, capture assists, carrier kill assists, flood kill assists, vehicle destroy assists, or resupply assists should be counted in the post-game Carnage report, but none of these actions are deserving of medals, as they're not outstanding achievements, especially not capture initiation assists. I'll give fortification assist a pass, but it's not really an assist, because the base fortifies itself, not another player. It should have been called something like Castle Knight or Fort Guard. Now, there were some cool assist medals, including the originator itself, the Wheelman, because it's hard to do a drive-by if your partner don't know how to slide. Alongside Distraction, Wingman, and EMP, but the rest of them added nothing to and subtract prestige from the roster. Side note, I'm giving Distraction a pass because it can be strategically employed by a team, so it's not just rewarding you for getting shot. Halo 4's medal roster was extremely bloated with filler, easily achievable, low ball, pitiful, weak sauce medals. This oversaturation not only took away from the special aura that originally followed the medal system in the Bungie games, but also may have been seen as an annoyance by players when accompanied by Jeff Schweitzer's announcements, which we will discuss later. While the art style was still okay, even with the constant use of blue with hints of red and gray, Halo 4 undisputedly has the worst medal system in franchise history in terms of requirements to earn them. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention that campaign scoring was removed, so no medals were available in that mode. It's ironic that Halo 4 was the last M-rated Halo game, because judging from the medal system, I'd have thought the target audience was people aged 10 months and below. Is that what you thought, 343? Did you think that you were selling games to babies? Listen, I think I speak for the majority of Halo Nation when I say that we're all big kids. We know how to manipulate the joints in our hands to pick up our sippy cups and drink the metal milk from them ourselves. You didn't have to put it in a bottle and breastfeed it to us. Halo 5 Guardians, to a smaller degree, carried over the same problems plaguing Halo 4's medal system, but did come with some improvements. Depending on your personal taste, the art style may or may not have been one of them. Now, there is significantly more variety in the color scheme, but I wouldn't say as much as there was in Halo 3 and Reach, particularly regarding the kill and style medals. Halo 5 went a step further than Halo 4 in making the medals look less realistic and more cartoony and emblem-like. They had even less lighting and shadow effects and minor details. There are more repeated, themed backdrop patterns this time. In fact, every objective section had their own backdrop that was used for every medal in that section. A decision I personally am okay with, but I also wouldn't mind if there were different backdrops throughout the sections. The street sign aesthetic has still been kept for vehicular medals, which is the coolest thing ever. Halo 5 does have the biggest variety in medal backdrops in the franchise, which deserves a lot of credit. I personally like the H23 Reach art style for the medals, but that's just personal preference. What can't be denied is that visually, this was definitely a step in a different direction than the Bungie games, even more so than Halo 4. Halo 5 has a total of 220 medals, the largest in franchise history. When Halo 2 launched the medal system, it was divided into 4 sections. In Halo 5, there were 7 sections: kills, style, weapon proficiency, objective, vehicle, warzone, and infection medals. Technically, you could consolidate them into 5, because warzone and infection are technically objectives. Kill medals include all killing sprees, including the glorious return of the perfection, multi-kills, and that piece of trash medal for the generic kill. But at least it's exclusive to Warzone, a mode separate from the main multiplayer that I barely played due to its monetization scheme. In fact, most of the egregious filler medals are locked to Warzone, including the weapon kill medals, which unfortunately now cover all tier 2 and 3 weapons, and the enemy type kill medals, which make up most of the Warzone medal section. Seriously, they reward you for killing a grunt. A grunt! The weakest enemy in the game besides unshielded jackals. I would rather not have any of these medals exist in any capacity, and for Warzone to not have been pay to win, but it would have been much worse if I was playing a game of Slayer and got rewarded for a generic kill. Most of the bloat in arena medals comes from 2 places: the vehicular and objective medals. A bad move that 343 made was create a medal simply for destroying each enemy vehicle. Yes, including a mongoose. Destroying vehicles felt awesome, don't get me wrong, but doing so never felt worthy of a medal, especially a mongoose or ghost. Vehicular destruction resulted in awesome explosions and great physics that would lead to an additional splatter of self-destruct in Halo 3 Reach and 4, and that was rewarding enough. Even worse is that all these medals were complemented with assist versions. If you do a certain amount of damage to a mongoose and someone else blows it up, you still get a medal for it. Now, there are situations where a player can do most of the damage to have their kill swiped, but in the case of these vehicular medals, a medal shouldn't be rewarded for an assist because the medal shouldn't be rewarded for destroying a vehicle in the first place, let alone a mongoose. These medals should have been exclusive to tanks and aircraft at most. Once again, the objective medals feel a bit bloated, although the earning requirements aren't as ridiculous as Halo 4's. There are some cool additions, such as the stealth capture, where you never reveal your location by getting shot. Hell, all the breakout medals seem fairly challenging, and there's 10 of them, and I fuck with them all, specifically Superfecta and Immortal. Capture Spree is pretty cool, although I'd prefer it be 5 zones instead of 3, and I wish Lockdown was an infinite. As for medals I would axe, I'd target all the objective defense offense medals, objective assist medals, flag returned, stronghold captured, stronghold secured, and ball clear. Whereas Halo 4's objective medals needed a glassing from the shipmaster himself, Halo 5's only needed a slight trim. The best trend that Halo 5 started was expanding the style and weapon proficiency medals.
Halo 2 set the trend with its special kill medals.
Medals that were awarded via completing certain actions in a specific fashion. Halo 5 not only introduced plenty of great medals under this design philosophy, but expanded on it by creating medals requiring combinations of actions, point accumulation, match state or objective actions, physical distance, multi-kills, etc. Some were based off old tricks made popular by the community in early games, like the noob combo, nade shot, gun punch, snipe punch, and BXR. Others were Slayer based, like Top Gun, Clutch Kill, and Game Saver. Halo 5 took the long-ranged idea of Hail Mary from Halo 4 and extended it to make 3 new medals: Rocket Mary, Fire and Forget in Halo Infinite, Long Shot, and Spray and Pray. Team Takedown and its assist counterpart were awarded for 4 or more Spartans shooting and downing a single opponent. Reversal lets you know you just did somebody bad. Big Game Hunter required the player to kill 3 power weapon wielding enemies in a row without dying. Airborne Snapshot should probably return to Halo Infinite as a legendary medal via an update. Halo 5 also took Reach's idea of armor ability based medals and applied them to Spartan abilities. We got medals for Ground Pound and Spartan Charge. We got a special version of Team Takedown called Pounder, where at least 2 Spartans had to ground pound the same enemy. Medals were awarded by killing players attempting to use Spartan abilities. While Headcase was deleted, Star Killer and Cliffhanger were added. The completely new ideas for medals involving unique interactions between players and the environment absolutely rocked. Cluster Luck was the definition of killing 2 birds with 1 exploding stone. Combat Evolved and Alley Oop were callbacks to a strategy in the game that started it all, where you could throw a grenade and blast a weapon to yourself or a teammate. In Halo 5, this is only possible to do with a plasma grenade, and players don't spawn with those. These 2 medals supported strategy, teamwork, and map interaction. Fastball and Simultaneous are absolutely mythic. If you get one of these, you'd better make damn sure to record it. There were a few filler medals in this section. Cliffhanger and Star Killer had the same problem as Reload This from Reach, and that of course you're gonna get killed stuck in the same animation unable to fire back. Power Player? Why would I not get 10 kills if I'm using the strongest weapon? Big Gun Runner? Of course I'm going to keep grabbing the power weapon so I can control the map like I'm supposed to. And why am I getting rewarded simply for picking them up? Isn't execution the important thing? Even if it was, review what I said about Power Player. Halo 5 had this weird obsession with pushing the concept of power weapons down the player's throat. Other than a few bad apples, the style and weapon proficiency medals were innovation at its finest. Except for the weapon kills, of course. Some notable omissions are Revenge, Comeback Kill, and the all-time classic Killjoy. I can't find the video, but I remember when 343 said something along the lines of omitting these medals because they didn't feel like they were worthy achievements, which is ironic given the Warzone Enemy Kill, Vehicle Destroy, and Weapon Kill medals still made it in. Comeback Kill is acting I agree with, but Revenge was sweet. They even kept Retribution in, which is the assassination version of Revenge. And Killjoy still feels like a worthy achievement in my opinion. Just because someone is kicking your team's ass doesn't mean you're the one whose ass is getting kicked. It could be a case of 2 Alpha Spartans colliding to see who the stronger bull is. Hell, even if that isn't the case, I just want to get rewarded for being an asshole and ruining somebody's killing spree. Quick note, campaign medals returned in an update. The last thing to note is that also via update, each medal was placed in a tier matching half the infamous Rec Pack system, including Common, Rare, and Legendary. This is important to note because Halo Infinite would take this idea but use a different inspiration. But to end this section, I'll say that while Halo 5's medal system still feels bloated with unnecessary medals, it was definitely an improvement from Halo 4, minus the art style in my opinion, as it shed lots of excess filler from its predecessor. The new focus on style medals was an awesome idea that should have a lasting impact on how medals are implemented in the future. Here we are, the current state of the medal system. Halo Infinite's 156 medals, including some objective medals that can't be achieved at the time of recording because their modes haven't been released yet, are divided into 6 categories which I think best describe Halo's entire catalog of medals. Sprees, multi-kills, proficiency, objective, style, and skill. Honestly, I think Infinite is 343's best implementation of the medal system. But there are 2 major flaws. As mentioned earlier, Infinite took inspiration from Halo 5 and ranked its medals based on a tier system. But this time, the game used the campaign's difficulty levels for the tiers. Normal, Heroic, Legendary, and the cream of the crop, Mythic. While I think this is a wonderful idea that should be used going forward, it did result in the first flaw in the system, and that it directly affected the art style. Halo Infinite's original art style for the medals and the beta flights garnered some flack, as they were very small and looked cartoony. The final product was a great improvement, as they were given more detail, solid metallic outlines, shiny, not rusty and worn like in Halo Reach, and an increase in size. The icons were given more wiggle room, some of them even sticking out of the backdrops, which was great because the iconography used for these medals are awesome. I mean, just take a look at the ninja medal for a second. That medal looks fire as hell, no pun intended. And that's not all. Every medal is now accompanied to the screen by a glorious medal accumulation sound effect that evolves for legendary and mythic medals, adding an extra swoosh sound.
Closer.
Their entire squad is cannon fodder.
Reloading.
Chain the pain, Spartan.
This needs to be a staple in the series from here on out. Like, if Halo 7 doesn't have this sound effect, I'm going to be a bit disappointed. So where is the problem? The color scheme. Each tier of medal has an assigned color. Normal medals have a green backdrop with a bronze outline. Heroic medals have a blue backdrop with a silver outline. Legendary medals have a purple backdrop with a light purple, lavenderish, platinum maybe? Whatever the fuck that is, you get the point. Mythic medals were given a red backdrop with a gold outline. To add to this, all the iconography was white, though it did feature some detailing that were slightly lighter versions of the corresponding backdrop color. For mythic medals, it matched the gold outline. So, color variety was out the door. This was especially apparent with the Killing Spree and Multi-Kill medals, as not only does Killing Frenzy look like it's wearing a Running Riot costume for Halloween, but all medals Running Riot / Overkill and above are the same exact color. Now this did result in some killer redesigns for the higher Killing Spree and Multi-Kill medals, but looking at the same 4 colors for every medal can be a bit monotonous. One thing Halo 5 did better with its tiering, instead of forcing colors, is simply denoting the medal's tiers in the post-game Carnage report in colored font. Furthermore, every section of medals has the exact same shape for their backdrops, including all objective medals, which no longer have unique backdrops per game type. I feel Infinite's medals would be better visually if they had their own unique colors and shapes. They would look so much more awesome than they already do. If it were only the sprees and multi-kills that had similar patterns, like in Reach, then that would be perfect. But of course, these are just subjective opinions on stylistic choices, although I think I share my opinion on the colors specifically with lots of others. And I still think the medals look great. The other problem carries over from Halos 4 and 5. Filler medals, although not nearly as much as the previous 2 games. In my opinion, all the filler lies within the proficiency medals. These are mostly medals you get simply for getting 5 kills with a weapon in a match, and you don't even have to do so without dying. They're not as intrusive as the weapon kill medals from 4 and 5, which thankfully are gone, but they're still some of the most ordinary actions a player can complete. Even if some of these medals were sprees, I'd still want to axe at least half of this section. But as they are, if I had a choice and I didn't completely nix this section, I would trash the following medals: Bomber, Gunslinger, Boxer, Driver, Grenadier, Marksman, Rifleman, Warrior, and Tanker. Bomber and Tanker would go first because, as I said earlier, there should never be a medal for simply getting kills with heavy explosives, even if it is 5. Gunslinger, Marksman, Rifleman, and Grenadier all involve the most basic weapons in the game. The weapons you spend the most time holding unless you're a Fiesta fanatic, which there's nothing wrong with. I salute you, my fellow Spartans. Of course you're going to rack up kills with these. Other weapons won't always be available. I thought about keeping Boxer, but turns out that's my second most accumulated medal in the proficiency section. Still far behind Marksman. I'd axe Warrior because it's just an easier version of Boxer. Ideally, I'd want to go further and delete Breacher, replacing it with Super Combine, Sharpshooter, and Scattergunner, leaving only Bodyguard, Gunner, Heavy, Spotter, Saboteur, Treasure Hunter, Wingman, and Wheelman. I want to note that rewarding medals for pinging is a good way to encourage teamwork, which is why Spotter and Treasure Hunter are some of only a handful of proficiency medals I don't see as complete filler. Lastly, the execution of the 360 style medal is kind of weak, as not only can it be done with any weapon, but you don't have to stay at a fast or continuous speed to achieve it. That's pretty much all I can think of when it comes to filler medals in Infinite, because the game got rid of so much excess. You can tell 343 were watching out for this just off the fact they shaved 64 medals off the roster. Allow me to revel in the fact that the bullshit generic kill medal is absolutely nowhere to be found. The objective medals were sent to the gym to shed some weight off, something I need to do, lol. CTF and Stockpile only have 3 medals each. Strongholds and Oddball have 2, and Elimination has 6. There are no longer offense-defense medals, objective/carrier kill medals, flag return medals, objective completion medals, or anything as ridiculous as Capture Initiation Assist. Initiation Assist. Wiping out all the oddball holding spree medals except for the 60-second one was 100% the correct decision. Furthermore, there are no longer basic assist or protector medals. Hell, even the melee and headshot medals got thrown out, being replaced by icons in the kill feed. Instead, the requirements for these axe medals are viewable as stats in the post-game Carnage report. First Strike, Big Gun Runner, and Power Player are all gone. The perfect kill medals have all been consolidated into one. All the vehicle destroy medals are gone, and even hijack got banned. It's like Infinite's medal system went on a healthy diet, but cheated at the last minute with some proficiency cheesecake. Oh, I'd like to briefly note that one medal that was previously axed makes its welcome return to the franchise. The Killjoy. Oh yeah. Fuck your demon medal. Not at my expense, bitch. Infinite took inspiration from Halo 5 with its style and skill medals, something I'm ecstatic about. You've got returning medals, such as Bullet Truth, Hail Mary, Cluster Luck, Nade Shot, and Pineapple Express. You got new medals like Bank Shot, Grand Slam, Chain Reaction, and Interlink. Ramming speed is perfect for the updated chopper mechanics, although this kind of makes Lawnmower redundant now. Rideshare is inclusive for all the Uber drivers out there. Keep getting people home safely. Pull from Halo Reach returns, but since there are no jetpacks, the feat can be achieved by killing someone who just took a gravity lift. Shot Caller is what you get when you breed teamwork with hubris. I haven't played a good old-fashioned game of nuclear football yet, but I want to. Street Sweeper is an awesome challenge, trying to kill someone with a close-range weapon while in the passenger seat of a vehicle. Speaking of killing Spartans while in a passenger seat, the Drive-By medal is the most gangsta-looking medal in the entire game. Yep, that's right, folks. The game awards you a medal for sliding on an ox. Add to that there's a map called Streets, and you can tell 343 shows some love for the hood. And while on the subject of driving, Death Race is a perfect example of what not to do in real life, but it does help prepare the player for GTA. The idea from Reach of basing medals off a fourth branch of combat returns, this time with equipment, and stronger than ever. In fact, the only equipment that doesn't have medals is the thruster pack. The grapple shot has 4 medals, including Harpoon, which I hope 343 allows to dish out a small amount of damage in the future, Grapple Jack, and Deadly Catch. Whiplash rewards the player for using an enemy's grapple shot animation against them. The Repulsor has some awesome medals. Pancake, Mind the Gap, and Return to Sender are all rewarding medals for some of the most distinguishable interactions in first-person shooter history. Boom Block is underrated, as I've saved myself a death quite a few times by throwing out my drop wall right on time, and it's well deserving of a medal. I'm not a fan of the threat sensor, but Odin's Raven and Tag and Bag do seem challenging enough to earn. As for power equipment, Sneak King and Achilles Spine are deliciously sadistic ways to tilt and embarrass your opponent, the former being a proper middle finger to John Cena. Dishing these out and receiving an award is just as cathartic as the business end is depressing. There are so many style and skill medals available, but much like Reach, the roster size doesn't take away from the prestige because the requirements to earn them are fun, challenging, and/or awesome. And this same philosophy was carried over to the objective medals. Stop Short, Goal Line Stand, Fumble, and Clock Stop all play off the clutch factor. Power Outage channels your inner burglar and is another great way to piss off the enemy team. Its counterpart, All That Juice, is likely an outcome of teamwork and strategy that allowed your squad to pull a bunch of power seeds and plant them at once. Elimination medals are all sweaty as hell. Imagine how hard it would be to get a Necromancer medal, especially if the enemy currently outnumbers you. The Duelist medal puts you in a quintessential movie-like 1v1 final moment, bright lights, all the pressure is on situation, and it should honestly be a heroic medal. Ace in Immortal requires the player to thrive offensively and defensively in their environment. Honestly, I think 343 did a wonderful job of making all the objective, style, and skill medals unique and fun to attain. Some of the medals from previous games were tweaked in Infinite in name and/or functionality, more so than any other game in the series. Snapshot, Snipultaneous, and Beatdown were changed to No Scope, Quigley, and Backsmack respectively. These particular name changes feel like an attempt to sound more mainstream, and while I think Snapshot should return, I am a fan of Backsmack and Quigley. The functionality for Quigley has also changed, as you can no longer earn the medal by blowing up a vehicle with multiple passengers. You must directly shoot 2 enemies with 1 bullet. The same functionality has been added to Buckle Up, now known as Autopilot Engaged. You now have to shoot the driver directly. While Big Game Hunter required 3 kills on power weapon wielders without dying, Yard Sale only requires 1 kill, but the enemy must also have a full inventory. Trifecta is now Lone Wolf, and while Superfecta required the player to win a 1v4, Ace only requires you to be the one to kill everyone on the opposite team, regardless of the living status of your teammates. Busted has been renamed Windshield Wiper. Magic Hands is now Straight Balling, and Last Man Standing is now Sole Survivor. But the most notable name changes, which no one asked for, but are more than welcome in my opinion, are that of the last 4 Killing Spree medals. Untouchable, Invincible, Inconceivable, and the all-time great Unfrigginbelievable are now Nightmare, Boogeyman, Grim Reaper, and Demon, respectively. Okay, maybe Boogeyman is questionable as it's a bit childish, but that last medal is especially welcome. While Unfrig is an all-time classic and awesome in its own right. 1. Demon is a nod to Halo's lore, where the Covenant referred to Master Chief as the Demon because of how badly he was beating their asses over decades. And 2, and I want y'all to listen very carefully to this, that shit sound live as fuck, bro. Like, I'm on Demon time now? Okay, I'll fuck with that heavy. Despite my objection to the resulting color scheme, I adore Infinite's idea of tiering medals, and using the campaign difficulties was the perfect way to do it. This has been done to an extent in the past, as back in the Halo 3 era, the community dubbed the rarest medals legendary, and Bungie even gave their medals difficulty ratings. As mentioned earlier, Halo 5 tiered their medals based off the rec system, but Infinite does it in the most clear, consistent, fan-servicey way in my opinion. So much so that I was referring to medals earlier in this video as mythic based on Infinite's system. Speaking of the mythic medals, this tier system helps the most prestigious of medals stand out from the pack. Excluding all Killing Spree and Multi-Kill medals except Perfection and Extermination, there are only 6 mythic medals, and counting everything, there are 28, 19 of which are available at the time of recording. And the only reason why the number's even that high is because all multi-kills 4 and above and all Killing Sprees 15 plus are mythic, a decision that's hard to argue against given the skill and luck needed to earn those medals. All the mythic medals have earned their tier. Killing someone with the impact of a frag grenade, putting 1 sniper bullet through 2 heads, shooting a grenade to kill someone. How can you call a fastball, quickly, or remote detonation anything but mythic? Ninja has always been a classic way to demoralize your opponent, and now there's a medal for it, and rightfully so. And if that's not good enough, every mythic medal can be seen in the kill feed with a special message. These are all so cool, but the Ninja message stands head and shoulders above them all, because it not only praises the player for their achievement, but it names the victim for everyone to see in an embarrassing, demoralizing fashion. It ends by commenting, "Hate to see it." That is freaking awesome. Perfection and Extermination are classic top tier medals, except a switcheroo was done. While Perfection is no longer exclusive to Slayer, Extermination is now exclusive to Elimination. I hope this exclusivity is removed, because having the entire enemy squad dead at the same time while achieving an overkill is one of the hardest challenges in Halo. The mythic tier of medals is truly one of the best things about Halo Infinite's multiplayer. While I do love the tiers in Infinite system, I do feel it could use a bit more tinkering. First, I feel like the filler proficiency medals may have only been included to reach some sort of quota for normal medals. Maybe 343 thought that by including lots of them, it would make the rest of the medals feel more special. It actually had the opposite effect, as Infinite system now feels overly saturated, diminishing the prestige of its rarer medals. Interestingly, as stated above, I think the 2 glaring causes of this feeling are the filler medals and the visuals. If those issues were eliminated, then it wouldn't matter if there weren't a plethora of normal medals. The higher tier medals would still feel special due to their current awesome requirements, and Infinite's medal system would be more positively received. Now, on a more trivial matter, there are some medals which is tiers I'd like to change. First off, Party's Over should absolutely be a mythic medal. First, it's an overkill by its own definition, and second, coming across a fully loaded Razorback in multiplayer is rare. Immortal should be bumped up to Mythic because the whole objective of the game is to eliminate the other team while staying alive. To not die even once in such an intense game mode where the enemies are at your throat, that is an astronomical achievement that will more than likely require at least 1 to 3 kills and is more than deserving of acknowledgement via Mythic status. While talking about elimination, Lone Wolf should be a legendary medal, while Superfecta should undisputedly be brought back with its original functionality as a Mythic medal. Pancake should be bumped up to legendary status due to the small amount of damage caused by repulsing someone into a wall. Grand Slam should be demoted down to heroic because the radius of its area of effect makes it easier to get 2 kills in one swing, especially when involving a vehicle. As is currently implemented, 360 should be a heroic medal, if not eliminated entirely. Special Delivery should be promoted to a heroic medal.
Mounted and Loaded should be given triple kill and overkill variants.
An argument can be made that the double kill should be demoted into the normal tier. This is because, surprisingly, this seems to be the most earned medal in Halo Infinite, even more so than the filler medals I mentioned earlier. As you can see, the double kill is earned more than any other medal by a long shot, so I can see why someone would argue for its demotion. However, I think this may have something to do with the medal being available in every game mode with every weapon. It never feels like the medal overstays its welcome, and it still feels rare enough to be a heroic medal. The overwhelming feeling only kicks in when you add the previously mentioned filler medals. Plus, it just wouldn't feel the same without Jeff Schweitzer announcing it. Maybe if it did get demoted, it's the only green medal with a voice line? Halo Infinite, despite its flaws, has a solid medal system that innovated in ways that I hope to see continue in the future. The proficiency section is a holdout from the plethora of filler medals from Halo 4 and 5. The metallic lays, creative icons, and nice size brought back the original metal feeling that was present in the Bungie games, but was slightly marred by the repetitive backgrounds based on type of metal and a color coding scheme based on the tiering system, of which I think is a brilliant idea in and of itself, but should not have forced colors. The trimming of filler medals, most evident in the objective section, is welcome, as it helps bring meaning and prestige back to the rest of the medals, while still highlighting the importance of the eliminated medals by showing them as stats in the post-game Carnage report. Most of the changed, renamed medals are cool. The Mythic medal tier serves as an ultimate goal for games, and the Demon medal absolutely rules. One last thing is that I wish Freeze would return for only select weapons and objectives. This was undoubtedly 343's best implementation of the medal system, and my third favorite overall, behind 3 and Reach. With Infinite supposedly lasting 10 years, let's hope this is the first Halo game to update medals during its lifespan to make clamored for changes. I would be absolutely remiss in discussing medals in Halo without discussing the voice of God himself. Seriously, the only other video game announcer I can think of off the top of my head that's as iconic as the Halo announcer is Chris Sutherland from the original Killer Instinct games. I don't need to spend much time telling you that Jeff Schweitzer is the fucking GOAT. Late Night Gaming already did that for us. Link in the description.
Halo's multiplayer announcer is beautiful. He's a holdover from a simpler time for shooter games. While everything takes itself rather seriously nowadays, trying to give their multiplayer arenas something you could possibly call context, games used to be a lot more loose with their multiplayer arenas, not caring too much why a bunch of random people are grouped up together and fighting each other in small enclosed locations. Typically, games such as Quake had an announcer who would grace your ears with his buttery words whenever you accomplish a feat of skill. This man, Jeff Schweitzer, thought he'd be getting the role of the Master Chief, but in a lot of ways, he got something better. Thanks to Jeff Schweitzer's beautiful vocal cords, Halo's multiplayer announcer was made iconic. In my school when I was younger, kids called the Halo announcer the voice of God, because of the almost ethereal way he'd announce your accomplishments and the disconnection that he had from the match. Explosion sounds came from explosives. Gunshots and screams were just part of the battlefield, but the Halo announcer? He was something heavenly, with his buttery smooth, calm, collected, yet attention-commanding voice.
Bomb arm.
Buttery smooth, calm and collected, ethereal. Perfect words from LNG that accurately described Schweitzer's performance. But he also made a key statement. The Halo announcer is a holdover from simpler times, where games didn't put too much care in adding context to multiplayer arenas, and they would have announcers to highlight when you did cool things in the game. The medal system is an evolution of that philosophy, and it wouldn't have turned out to be anywhere near as iconic, I owe Hidden Xperia some royalties, as it is today without Jeff Schweitzer. This section will discuss the performances that Schweitzer gave in each FPS game in the series. In Halo 1, the loud explosions and gunshots are contrasted by a stoic, calm, focused announcing style. The lines have this kind of 1980s news reporter type feel.
Double kill. Triple kill. Killtacular.
On top of that, the announcer didn't speak very much, only announcing killing sprees, multi-kills, certain objective actions, the game type at the beginning of a match, and game over at the end. This made the announcer feel special and indicated something important was happening on the screen whenever he spoke. This especially applied to the sprees and multi-kills, praising the player for their achievements and making them seem cool. The announcing style was very much the same in Halo 2, but more lines were added due to the increase of game types and, of course, the introduction of medals. I do feel that Schweitzer's voice in Halo 2 was slightly less deep, sounding a tad more casual and with a bit more sass and character added to it.
Double kill. Triple kill. Killtacular. Kill frenzy. Killtrocity. Kilimanjaro. Bomb armed. Bomb planted. Bomb dropped. Bomb returned. Defense. Flag captured. Flag returned.
The style medals came without announcing, a decision I think was best to not constantly bombard the player's ears and distract them from the game. The objective, spree, and multi-kill medals were the ones that were announced. The Halo 2 medal art style and Jeff Schweitzer's voice were a match made in Halo Heaven, a place where I personally sent many a Spartan, and I can send you there too if you test me, I'm just saying. This combination would become the source of euphoria for millions of Spartans across the globe for decades to come. One weird fact about the Halo 2 announcing is that 3 of the Killing Spree voice lines didn't match the medal names.
Untouchable. Unfrigginbelievable.
That's right, the titular medal of this video, Jeff Schweitzer's favorite voice line, started off as a line that oddly didn't match up with the name of its medal. Halo 3 is when things got truly special. It took the deep voice and stoicness from Halo 1, combined it with the character and cool sass from Halo 2, and ramped them up to level 10 while retaining the calm, focus, and buttery smoothness from both games. This was an all-time great performance by Jeff Schweitzer, and where the medal system was at its greatest.
Double kill. Extermination. Kilimanjaro. Killing frenzy. Killing spree. Killionaire. Killjoy. Killpocalypse. Killtacular. Killtastrophe. Killtrocity. Overkill. Perfection. Rampage. Running riot. Triple kill. Untouchable.
Just listen to that. Do you hear that? If our ears had tongues, this is what sweet chocolate would sound like. Every medal, the killing sprees, the double kills, the perfections. This voice style is not only my personal favorite, but is undoubtedly the favorite for the majority of Halo Nation. And to make matters better, ODST and Reach used the exact same sound bites from Halo 3, but added more voice lines delivered in the exact same style. When this specific iteration of Jeff Schweitzer's voice accompanied the medals from 2007 to 2011, they evoked a feeling of confidence, excitement, pride, and iota of arrogance. Jeff Schweitzer really made the player take pride in beating the shit out of the other team. And then, things took a turn in the opposite direction, and in my opinion, something I've said a lot throughout this video because I don't want to sound like a pretentious prick, it was for the worse. When 343 took over Halo, they did whatever they could to put their own spin on it, even if it meant drastically changing what fans had become accustomed to and adored. It wasn't just the metal's art style and requirements that were changed, it was the announcements that came with them as well. The context that developers used to not care for in older FPS multiplayers was now in full effect in Halo 4. It was established that the multiplayer was a war game simulation, a battleground for which Spartans can train and hone their craft. As a result, Jeff Schweitzer in this game sounds like a futuristic sportscaster. On crack. Gone was the stoic, cool, sassy attitude that brought joy to many fans over the last 10 years, and in its absence were shallower, energized, electronic filtered tones to accompany your gameplay.
Double kill, triple kill, overkill, Killtacular, Killtrocity, Kilimanjaro, Killtastrophe, Killpocalypse, Killionaire, Killing Spree, Killing Frenzy, Running Riot, Rampage, Untouchable, Invincible, Inconceivable, Unfrigginbelievable.
I think the most evident case of this has to be the SCORE medal.
Score!
Further, the announcer speaks much more often than in the past. A slew of new medals were introduced. Medals which were previously unannounced were now given voice lines. Events related to objectives were announced with more detail, including a description of the game type at the beginning of each match.
Eliminate the enemy team. King Spree, Killtacular, Reign of Terror, Regicide, Execution, King Slayer. Base capture initiated. Base capture. Base conqueror. Resupplied Charlie. Turret constructed. Chief engineer. Turret destroyed. Demolition expert. Base defense. Base offense. Base saved. Security chief. Fortified alpha. Hijack. Skyjack. Busted. Showstopper. Bold Troop.
Side note, H2A included narration soundbites from Halo 3 and 4, as well as some new recordings done in H4's style. Hearing these lines in one match sound off-putting, and it's a great demonstration of just how much the voice lines from Halo 3 contrast with those of Halo 4, even though it's the same person, a fact that plenty of fans, including myself, question.
Infection. Survive to win. First strike. Fellow survivor lost. Double kill. Triple kill. Overkill. Killing frenzy.
There were some shades of the original announcing style, most notably with the snapshot medal, which, without the voice filtering, would sound like it came straight from Halo 3.
Snapshot.
Jeff Schweitzer still did an awesome job with this style, as you can hear the energy and effort put into every voice line. But I personally do not prefer this style. And the fact that he spoke so much more often in Halo 4, coupled with the changed medal system with its new art style and its inclusion of bogus filler requirements, chipped away from the aura that made medals so fun. This is no fault of Jeff Schweitzer. He just did what he was told to do. Don't believe me? Listen to the man himself.
Those people. And then when 343 came in, again, very, very nice people, but it was a different dynamic. The fellow that I worked with for 4 and 5, I think, started out on what was a tricky foot. He basically was telling me how to say all the lines and sort of micromanaging the performance, which I wasn't used to. And indeed, with that game, there were all sorts of people that showed up on social media going, get Jeff Schweitzer back. Who's this new guy? It's not what we're used to. And it's like, no, it's still me. I'm just doing what I was asked to do. And we sort of, I think, worked that out so that, they, at a certain point, we were recording, and I said, it would really help me if maybe we could go back and listen to, like, one of the early games, which was a ploy, of course. But we did, and they went, oh yeah, no, you're right. You go ahead. You do it the way, you do it the way you want to do it. It's like, thank you. So that helped a little bit.
The consequences of that ploy were evident in the toned-down narration style in Halo 5 Guardians. The suite of recordings sound like a mixture of the styles from Halo 2 and Halo 4. You get the calmness and focus from the former, combined with the higher tones, energy, and a reduced iteration of the robotic voice filtering from the latter. A medal that exhibits all of these qualities at once would be the Hard Target medal.
Hard target.
The Killing Spree medals have been toned down in energy as well, specifically the Rampage medal.
Rampage. Rampage.
There are some voice lines that have that all-time great Halo 3 sound, most notably From the Grave, Perfect, and the nod to the game that started it all.
From the grave. Perfect. Combat evolved.
The Snapshot medal was Halo 4-fied, which disappointed me.
Snapshot.
The highest, most energetic tones on the farthest side of the Halo 4 spectrum aren't present in Halo 5, but there are lots of lines significantly more energetic than the tones of the Bungie-era Halo announcer. While Jeff Schweitzer speaks about 25% less than he did in Halo 4, the generic objective lines are now regurgitated by a random guy on the comms. While it prevented Schweitzer's voice from being as overbearing as it was to some in Halo 4, it was still a case of oversaturation and confusion that negatively affected the perception of both medals and Schweitzer's narration. Simply put, there was too much going on. One of the worst precedents in the history of Halo was set when Jeff Schweitzer was completely removed from Warzone, replaced by the voice of Sarah Palmer, a near universally disliked character in the franchise. This, along with many other decisions made with Halo 5, garnered significant backlash as people immediately appreciated what they had once it was gone. Unfortunately, lessons were not initially learned from this misstep in the next game. One great precedent, however, was that 343 released the Voices of War DLC that allowed the player to choose between Schweitzer and 3 new announcers who were characters from the Halo story. Each character had unique voice lines for each medal. Spartan Buck was a great alternative to Schweitzer with his wit, comedy, and excitement. Yabda the Destroyer was sadistic and over the top, and hearing him yell in his naturally high-pitched grunt voice was hilarious. 031 Exuberant Witness just made the whole damn game sound like Overwatch. Overall, Schweitzer's performance in Halo 5 was much better than in 4 in my opinion, with the toning down of the energy levels in his voice. The comms guy had a negative effect on the announcing. The added characters for narration were a great idea, excluding Schweitzer from Warzone was a terrible one. In Halo Infinite, Schweitzer's voice lines are delivered so well that they're my second favorite in the series. This time, there's a very minimal amount of electronic voice filtering, so minimal in fact that I might prefer it. Most of the medal announcements have a bit more energy and excitement than in Halo 5, very close to the Halo 4 style, but still natural enough to know that Schweitzer voicing them. The medal announcements contain those sassy inflections present in Halo 2.
Killing spree. Killing frenzy. Running riot. Rampage. Double kill. Triple kill. Overkill. Killtacular. Killtrocity. Kilimanjaro. Killtastrophe. Killpocalypse. Killionaire. Clock stop. Fumble. Goal line stand. Ballista. Bank shot. Bull true. Cluster luck. All that juice. Flawless victory. Power outage. Steak-tacular. Straight balling. Achilles spine. Autopilot engaged. Boom block. Grand slam. Perfection. Ninja. Quigley. Remote detonation. Fastball.
Best of all, a bigger portion of medals sound like they came straight from Halo 3.
Cluster luck. Sneak king. Deadly catch.
The exact same soundbite from H5 is used for the perfect kill, which is absolutely
perfect.
I wish the same could be said for the Combat Evolved medal, but alas, it was re-recorded.
Combat Evolved!
Well, by far, the best performance has to go to the 4 new Killing Spree medals, which sound sinister, Halo 3, and badass.
Nightmare, Boogeyman, Grim Reaper, Demon.
I genuinely believe that these announcements wouldn't have sounded out of place in 2007. The Halo Infinite announcer has something for all Halo fans. Unfortunately, The random comms guy from Halo 5 has been replaced by the player's personal AI. Now this is a unique customization choice, but there is no option to disable their voice lines, which brings the same problem of confusion and too much going on from Halo 5, muddying with the enjoyment of Schweitzer's lines and causing annoyance in the opinion of some, including me. What's worse is that there's an extra voice in the mix with Spartan Agrina and Big Team Battle. As a matter of fact, she completely replaced Jeff Schweitzer in the mode at launch. So the same mistake from Halo 5 was made, but at least this time, they patched them back in. Problem now is 3 voices constantly speaking to you can be annoying, messing up the enjoyment of Schweitzer's narration and the medals, and distracting from the game in general. But all in all, I feel Infinite, just like it contains 343's best effort for a medal system, contains Jeff Schweitzer's best performance under a 343 banner, just shy from the almighty Halo 3 Reach voice lines. Before I end this video, I want to give my take on what would make the perfect medal system in a Halo game. Based on my understanding of the original draft of the system in Halo 2, I believe medals are supposed to capture our attention like lightning in a bottle. The common ones should feel like enough work was put in to earn them, while still feeling moderately unique. The rare ones should require a hefty helping of luck and or an astronomical amount of skill and talent. In my ideal medal system, I would use Halo 3's iteration of the Halo 2 art style, probably using Infinite's metallic coating. Each individual level of spree and multi-kill would have the same color coding they have in Halo 2, 3, and Reach, and different types of sprees would match that code. Objective medals of the same game type would share a theme, and vehicular medals would be based on yellow street signs, as are their classic style. Most of the skill and style medals would look completely different from one another, with different colors, icons, and backdrops. I would use 5 of Halo Infinite's divisions to organize the medals: spree, multi-kill, mode, style, and skill. I would use Infinite's tiering system without forcing a universal color code on the medals. Instead, the tiering would be denoted in the post-game Carnage report. I'd use Infinite's sound effect system to accompany the medals. I'd have 4 to 5 spree levels for assist, wheelman, protector, and a select number of weapons, including all tangible objectives such as the flag, bomb, ball, and power seed, all requiring death avoidance and in intervals of 5. To clarify, with the tangible objectives, I mean getting kills with them. I'd have special medals for accumulating certain amounts of points in objective modes, without them being anywhere near as lowball as they were in Halo 4. If I were to apply sprees to weapons in Infinite, I would choose Shotgun for the Bulldog and Heatwave, Needler, Shock, applying to the Dynamo Grenade, Shock Rifle, and Disruptor, Sniper, Skewer, Sticky for Plasma and Spike Grenades, the Fusion Coil, the Shock Coil would simultaneously count toward a Shock Spree, Splatter, and Repulsor. Only the Splatter, Needler, Stick, and Shock weapons would have medals for individual kills. The S7 and Skewer would still have Sniper, Headshot, and Ballista respectively. I would make sure there were a host of style and skill medals based off combinations of actions and a few non-kill actions like in Halo 5 and Infinite. Finally, I would use Jeff Schweitzer as the announcer and have him do it in as close to the Halo 3 Reach style as possible. I think the sheer length and detail of this video should be evidence enough of how important medals in Halo are to me, and I hope I properly conveyed some thoughts from people that didn't know how to put them in words. Honestly, it was kind of hard to do so myself for this video. I'm not saying I hope everyone agrees with all my opinions in this vid, but I do hope I provided some sense of entertainment, trivia, and or learning for those who enjoy medals just like me. I haven't seen a video discussing medals in this much detail, and I felt it had to be done. And it was fun. Just as it has been all these years collecting medals in Halo and listening to Jeff Schweitzer's epic voice. There were lots of changes to the system over the years. Some we liked, others we didn't. I'd like to reiterate my opinion that Reach's medal system was the best due to its take on the Halo 2 art style and its roster and voice soundbites simply being Halo 3+. But through it all, medals have remained near and dear to my heart. Without medals popping up on screen and Schweitzer announcing them, a huge part of Halo's identity would be lost.
I'd like to extend my thanks and gratitude to anyone who took the time out of their day to watch my video. especially if there's anyone who watched it in its entirety. I know it was long, but it was pretty fun for me to make. I was pretty passionate about metals, and I felt it needed to be done. So thank you to anyone who watched the video. I will see you all again sometime soon.